Right now, it feels like one of those unusual moments in NASCAR where something just doesn't fully add up. You see a legend doing what he does best, winning races, celebrating victories, and reminding everyone exactly why he's one of the most relentless competitors of his generation. And yet, there's still this shadow hanging over it. Not about speed, not about talent, not about motivation. It's about opportunity. And if you've followed this sport long enough, you already know when a driver who lives and breathes racing starts running into limits that have nothing to do with performance, that's when things get complicated. Because then it stops being just a racing story and starts becoming something bigger. Something that could quietly shape the next chapter of one of the most accomplished drivers we've ever seen. And what makes this even more interesting is that this isn't happening in isolation. There's another major name in the garage dealing with similar undertones, and when you start connecting those dots, the picture gets a lot more serious. Trust me, this matters more than it looks on the surface. Now, before we go deeper, do me a quick favor. If you're a real NASCAR fan who lives for these inside conversations, hit that like button and subscribe to NASCAR Nation Report. We're building this channel toward 5,000 true fans who actually follow the sport, not just the headlines. And if that's you, you're exactly where you need to be. Now, let's get into it. Because while Kyle Busch is out there reminding everyone he's still one of the fiercest competitors in the garage, winning in the Truck Series and looking as locked in as ever, there's something happening behind the scenes that honestly feels hard to believe when you think about who we're talking about. Recently on Instagram, Samantha Busch opened up during an AMA session, and what she said wasn't dramatic, it was refreshingly honest. She talked about how much she enjoys watching Kyle run 8 Truck Series races this year with Spire Motorsports. And she made one thing very clear: this isn't just a schedule thing for him. He genuinely loves racing. That's who he is at his core. But then came the part that really hit differently. She added that if sponsorship was there, he would run as many races as possible in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series too. And just pause on that for a second. We're talking about a 2-time Cup Series champion. A driver with over 100 wins in the O'Reilly Series. One of the most accomplished talents to ever strap into a stock car. And yet, right now, he can't get a ride there. Not because he's lost his edge, not because he's uncompetitive, not because he doesn't want it, but because the sponsorship just isn't there. And honestly, that's wild. Because what makes this even more unbelievable is that Kyle Busch hasn't made a single start in NASCAR's Tier 2 Series since 2024. For a driver who used to be a constant presence across trucks and the O'Reilly Series, that's a massive shift. This is a guy who once owned his own team, Kyle Busch Motorsports. Back then, if he wanted to race in the lower series, the opportunity was always there. The seat was his. The control was his. But once he sold the team, that safety net disappeared. Now, everything depends on outside sponsorship and team approval. And unless a sponsor steps in specifically for him, there's no guaranteed seat waiting anymore. And here's what really stands out. Drivers love running the O'Reilly Series. They love the mix of talent. They love the current spec cars. It keeps them sharp, it keeps them connected, it keeps them grounded. And especially on super speedways, that's where even the biggest names circle the calendar. So just imagine this. Kyle Busch, still hungry, still elite, still capable of winning at any level, but sitting out, not because of ability, but because the funding doesn't line up. And he's not alone either. We've already seen similar signs with Denny Hamlin this season. Even he had to lean on his team just to help secure sponsorship for a Tier 2 appearance. And that alone tells you everything about where NASCAR is right now. Because if a driver like Kyle Busch can't simply decide to race, that says a lot about how tough the business side of this sport has become. But even with all of that, he's still showing up and winning. Let's talk about that Truck Series victory. While Kyle was driving toward the win, a key piece of the puzzle was Carson Hocevar. The 2 Spire Motorsports teammates controlled the race early. Hocevar came out aggressive, cutting through traffic, making bold moves, pushing the limits. Classic Carson. Even Kyle himself admitted it. This wasn't reckless chaos, just hard racing. The same kind of edge Kyle used to race with when he was younger. Then, the dynamic shifted. At one point, Kyle actually stepped into more of a support role behind Hocevar during the second stage, and it worked. They figured each other out. And when it mattered most, Hocevar gave Kyle the push he needed to close it out. Kyle noticed it. He appreciated it. He even said it was good to see that maturity from Hocevar, knowing when to work together and when to push. That's the kind of moment fans love to see. Veteran experience mixing with young aggression, all coming together in real time. But that celebration didn't last long, because now the focus shifts straight to Echo Park Speedway. And this time, it's Cup Series racing. No teamwork, no alliances, no helping each other to the finish. Just straight-up competition. And if you know Echo Park Atlanta, you already know how dangerous it gets. Drafting packs, split-second decisions, inches separating disaster from victory. Teammates can turn into obstacles in a heartbeat. So now you've got Kyle Busch dealing with sponsorship limitations off the track while trying to keep momentum alive on it. You've got Hocevar building confidence after playing the wingman role. And now they're both heading into the same battleground where cooperation disappears the moment the green flag drops. And that's exactly why this story feels bigger than just a social media comment. Because Kyle Busch doesn't want to slow down. He doesn't want fewer races, he wants more. More laps, more competition, more chances to win. But the reality of NASCAR today is different. Sponsorship matters more than ever. And even legends aren't immune to it. For now, Kyle remains full-time in the Cup Series with Richard Childress Racing. That seat is secure. But the fact that a driver of his caliber still has to rely on sponsorship just to add more races outside his main schedule, that should grab every fan's attention. Because it shows how much the sport is evolving and how even the biggest names aren't guaranteed anything beyond their primary contracts. And as a fan, I'll be honest, I want to see him race more. Whether you root for him or against him, NASCAR is simply better when Kyle Busch is on the track. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think sponsors step up and get him back into the O'Reilly Series more regularly? Is this just the new reality for veteran drivers? And when he lines up against Hocevar at Echo Park, who has the edge if things get heated again? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe to NASCAR Central Race. We're building a real community of NASCAR fans on the road to 10,000 subscribers. If you love honest, no-filter NASCAR conversations, breakdowns, and real reactions from the garage, then you're in the right place. I'll see you in the next one.